Our story starts with a guy named Chris Ashenden. If you haven't heard of him, he's an entrepreneur. He started a company called Athletic Greens, and today it's called AG1. You hear about it in podcasts, on YouTube, and even legacy media. I first heard about it while listening to the Hysteria podcast, and I think there's a good chance that you've heard of this company too. With $115 million in capital funding, Ashenden brought AG1 to 9-figure revenues and got a valuation of over $1 billion. What you should also know about him is that he's got multiple criminal convictions for being a thief and a fraud. Oh, and he's no longer the CEO. Oops. But does that mean his bright green health powder is a scam? Well, for just $99 a month, you can skip vegetables, bypass balanced meals, and replace all of your deficiencies with a daily swamp water smoothie. All you have to do is scoop and mix this stuff into the liquid of your choice. Yum. Or you could just eat a salad. Welcome back to Dad Ruins Everything. Today we're back in wellness scams, but I've also recently ruined Duolingo, AI, and trying to get a job with an online application. Today, I ruin AG1, the greens powder that somehow convinced every podcaster and influencer on the planet to tell you that it's the nutritional equivalent of a multivitamin, a probiotic, a nootropic, a protein shake, and whatever else they put in the ad read. Let's get into it. Green dust has a long history. AG1 didn't invent the idea of drinking powdered vegetables. In the 1950s, chlorella and spirulina were hyped as future foods that would end world hunger. NASA even studied spirulina for astronauts. In the 1980s and 90s, wheatgrass shots became a health food store staple, supposedly detoxifying your blood with chlorophyll. Spoiler, chlorophyll doesn't do that. By the 2000s, MLM companies were pushing super greens. Giant tubs of mystery powders sold out of church basements and yoga studios, usually alongside a weight loss shake. Today, AG1 is just the latest evolution, the $100 subscription model of the same green dust. What changed isn't the product, it's the branding and distribution. Instead of Avon-style MLMs, now it's podcasts, YouTubers, and the Joe Rogan extended universe. So we're going to start with what AG1 claims to do. It markets itself as the ultimate daily nutrition ritual. According to their ads, it covers all of your nutritional bases. It improves gut health with prebiotics, probiotics, and enzymes. It boosts immunity. It enhances energy and focus. It helps recovery and athletic performance. And it fights aging at the cellular level. Of course it does. They even toss around words like bioavailable, synergistic, and adaptogens. It's sold like a super multivitamin smoothie, a one-stop shop for your health in a single scoop. But let's talk about what it actually is. At the end of the day, AG1 is just a blend of supplements. The label lists 75 ingredients, which are vitamins, minerals, probiotics, adaptogens, extracts, and enzymes. It includes a few green powders like spirulina, chlorella, and wheatgrass. There are some fruit extracts, and there's a proprietary blend of stuff. And the translation of that is mystery dust that you can't fact check. Here's the catch. The amounts of most of those special ingredients are undisclosed. And based on the size of the scoop, many are in doses too small to matter. The most fun part is that some of the ingredients are already in your diet. It's a multivitamin mixed with powdered plants, only way more expensive and far less transparent. Then there's what the science actually says. Multivitamins can be useful for people with actual deficiencies. Probiotics can sometimes help with gut health, although which strains and how much you need varies wildly. And spirulina and chlorella have nutrients, if you eat enough of them. But there's no evidence to support longevity claims. Energy and focus? That's mostly placebo, or caffeine marketing without caffeine. And gut reset? That's not a thing. Most of the listed ingredients are not proven to help in powdered blended form. They're included in amounts too small to replicate any effect ever seen in a clinical study, or completely unnecessary if you eat actual food. Trying to find supportive primary literature is fairly easy for validating the efficacy of a proper diet or explaining the mechanisms by which different nutrients work to facilitate the efficient operation of our bodies. You know what I didn't find? Anything supporting AG1's health benefit claims. But hey, maybe you question my research abilities. But Dr. Joanne Manson of Harvard Medical School agrees with me. Nutrition experts like Jonathan Jerry of McGill University also call out the lack of scientific support and lack of transparency around AG1's product. It's not just that it doesn't do what they say, it's also expensive. AG1 costs around $99 a month. That's about $3 a day. Even though I'm a firm believer that people should spend their money however they want, it's worth mentioning that a daily multivitamin is about 10 cents a piece, and a probiotic capsule is about 50 cents a piece. A spinach salad that has real fiber and nutrients, maybe $2, and more nutrition than you're getting in a scoop of AG1. So to recap, more money for the illusion of total nutrition in one scoop than for actual nutrition. It's the bottled water problem all over again, selling you something you already have access to at a higher cost, wrapped in marketing about purity and performance. If AG1 seems unavoidable, it's because they spend millions on podcast ads and influencer deals with high-profile figures including Andrew Huberman, Joe Rogan, Lewis Hamilton, Peter Attia, and Lex Fridman, among others, touting its benefits. You've probably heard, "I drink AG1 every morning before coffee. It's how I start the day. I feel the difference." Of course you do. You're getting paid to. It's the same strategy that made CBD, collagen, and essential oils seem mainstream. Blanket the internet with sponsorships until people assume it must be legit. It's not. But it makes sense to discuss why people believe it. There's a psychological halo around greens. There's a color bias where people equate green with natural, healthy, and life-giving. There's a convenience bias where it feels like you're hacking nutrition by drinking one thing instead of cooking. There's the placebo effect, where if you believe it boosts focus, you'll feel sharper. And there's the authority bias, where if your favorite podcaster, athlete, or wellness influencer swears by it, it must be real. This is how the entire wellness industry survives. Sprinkle science words over lifestyle aspirations and then cash the check. At the root of it, people want the claims to be true, because a shortcut or cheat code to better health sounds super appealing. If you've watched my videos before, you've heard me whine about supplements. Because unlike food or drugs, supplements live in a legal loophole called the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994, in the United States anyway. Companies don't need to prove safety or effectiveness before selling their product. The FDA doesn't test supplements before they hit the shelves, labels can be completely inaccurate, and contamination is common, with heavy metals, bacteria, and undeclared ingredients. The only oversight is after the fact, if someone gets sick and reports it. So when AG1 says it's third-party tested, that's great, but voluntary. It's marketing, not regulation. The disclaimer here is that this is the state of affairs in the United States. I'm not sure what the legal landscape, regulatory framework, and consumer protections surrounding supplements are in other countries around the world, but I would love to hear about them in the comments below. You might think that the ingredients being natural at worst makes AG1 inert. Even though it looks harmless, greens powders come with issues. First, as I mentioned before, it's unregulated. Labels can be wrong, contaminants can be present, and there's no oversight. Gastrointestinal issues. Probiotics and plant extracts can cause bloating, diarrhea, or worse in sensitive people. Interactions. Adaptogens and herbs can interact with medications. Fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K can accumulate in the body, and very high doses of nutrients might interact with medications. For example, vitamin K can affect blood thinners, or excess vitamin C potentially increases the risk of kidney stones. There's a false sense of security. Drinking AG1 doesn't replace a balanced diet. It just makes you feel like you don't need one. And then there's overdosing. Some components of AG1 exceed the recommended daily allowances, such as 1100% of vitamin B7 and 467% of vitamin C, raising concerns about overconsumption and potential risks. If you want AG1's promised benefits, what can you do? Well, for nutrients, you can eat vegetables, fruits, and whole foods. For gut health, you can eat fiber and fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, or kimchi. For energy, sleep, exercise, hydrate. For longevity, don't smoke or vape, limit alcohol, stay active, and use sunscreen. And for mental health, manage your stressors, take care of your body, and seek psychiatric help if necessary. None of these things come in a $100 tub of green powder. So, The bottom line is that AG1 isn't poison, and it's not total snake oil, but it is wildly overpriced multivitamins and greens, dressed up with influencer hype and vague promises. It's the wellness industry's favorite trick. Take something cheap, like vitamins and plants, add pseudoscience buzzwords, wrap it in aspirational branding, and sell it at luxury prices. If you like the taste and don't mind the price, knock yourself out. Just don't mistake it for science-based health. So, I hope AG1 is sufficiently ruined for you, or for the person in your life who just bragged about starting their AG1 journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. And tell me about the weirdest greens powder ad you've heard or seen. Bonus points if it involved Joe Rogan glowing under red lights while sipping swamp juice. Thanks, and may your health come from real food and not overpriced sludge. Have a great day.